I I really like Johnny is a good friend of mine, so this is really fun to do. Hey everyone, I'm Elizabeth and this is Game Week 25 Pit My Team. I do like this team because you are taking advantage of the double game week. I can see that there are 2 United assets and also a Brighton asset as well. And Trossard, I really like him. I think that he goes forward and has a lot of potential. Also have Trent Alexander-Arnold in there. As for how I would pimp this team, personally, I have stayed away from United assets. I know that that's crazy. I think that it could perfectly work out for you, and maybe it doesn't work out for me, but just from the way that they've been playing recently, I'm not so convinced. Cristiano Ronaldo costs a lot of money, and he hasn't been scoring all that many goals for that extremely high price point. So I would think about downgrading Ronaldo, maybe after this double game week, because he could pay off for you. But I would think about downgrading him and then investing that money into your midfield, into a Salah or Kevin De Bruyne. If you want to do United asset this week, maybe Bruno Fernandes could be a good shout as well. I feel like he's been performing. And then in the defense, I noticed that you have Mitchell. Crystal Palace actually haven't kept a clean sheet since they played Norwich on December 28th. So I would look into bringing somebody who's a little bit more sturdy in defense. I really like the looks of Tierney for Arsenal. They have 3 clean sheets in their last 5 games, and he also can get you an attacking return as well. I really like Johnny is a good friend of mine, so this is really fun to do. I really like the idea of Fernandes captain because like I said previously, I think a lot of people are looking at Ronaldo, but I think that recently Fernandes has been performing a bit better. I also was thinking about bringing Digne into my team. And after that game against Leeds, not sure if I'm going to go for it, but I did think that it was a very good choice before the game. Like I mentioned, I know that United have a double game week. I'm personally staying away from them. Maybe it backfires. Maybe it doesn't. I hope that it works out for you, Gianni. And for me, instead of Jota, I would go for Coutinho. I don't know why, but every time I've had Jota in my team personally, he has not delivered. And I think that Coutinho looks in a lot more form. Jota just has 2 assists in his last 5 games, whereas Coutinho has 2 goals and 2 assists in 3 games. So he's somebody that I would look into bringing in. And yeah. If I were to pimp this team, Edward is a bit of a riskier option. I think since he didn't play in the last game, perhaps he could be playing in this game. And we know that Crystal Palace do have the double game week in game week 26. But I would think about bringing in somebody like Armando Broja, who's looked in really good form. I think Dennis has looked pretty good recently as well. Also, if I were to pick an Aston Villa attacking asset, I wouldn't go for Watkins. I sound like a broken record, but I'd go for Coutinho and bring in somebody else like a Dennis or Broja for Ollie Watkins. This team is really interesting to me. There's a double City defense, which I really haven't seen. I don't usually double up on defense. I know we'll get into my team maybe later on, and I actually took a big risk. So that's interesting. I hope that it pays off for you. I personally would change Jota out of this team. I don't think that he's been performing so well. I think you could bring in somebody like a Coutinho, a Conor Gallagher. I think that there are people at lower price points that you could bring in. And I like the look of the double game week. I think that Maupay could be a really good asset, and hopefully he's able to deliver for you. But I really don't have too much that I would change about this team. I quite like it, and it's actually pretty similar to my own team. I personally would wait on Salah. I think it's just maybe a game week or two too early. I want to see if he plays in game week 24, but I'm aiming to bring him in for game week 26. So I have Kevin De Bruyne over Salah in my team, and I'm planning on making that transfer in the next game week or two. I think that Ivan Toney really hasn't been performing all that well, so I'd look into bringing somebody else. Really, I think the biggest thing is that I would try to put a lot of money into the midfield, because I feel like the midfielders this year are performing a lot better than the attackers. So Harry Kane, for example, I would look to downgrade him. If you want a Spurs asset, I would bring in Son, because I think that he's been a lot more consistent this year. I'm looking at the team. Jota as well. I don't know. I have a thing with Jota. He hasn't been good to me, so I would transfer him out of the team. And like I said, Man United assets, I don't feel super confident in. I do hope it works out for you, but I'd look into bringing in maybe an Arsenal defender in there from maybe game week 27-ish onwards. You could look into bringing a Chelsea asset as well, but that's how I'd pimp this team. Yeah, the City Triple, I don't think it's so risky, but I tend to not double up on defenders. I know we're going to talk about my team in a little bit, but against Norwich, I think it's a really favorable fixture, so it makes sense. I really like the look of Cucurella as well. When he played against Chelsea, he was causing loads of problems, so I think that he could definitely get some attacking returns. The biggest change that I would make in this team is transferring out Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because Everton really have not been playing well. I know that maybe there might have been a manager boost or hopeful manager boost with Lampard coming in. But for right now, I would try to go for somebody who's a little bit more steady, since Calvert-Lewin hasn't been scoring goals. He had come back from injury as well. So maybe just make a straight swap of Dennis off of your bench for Calvert-Lewin if you don't have any transfers left for this week. But I would look into transferring Calvert-Lewin out, and that could open up some money for you elsewhere in the bank. This squad is actually maybe one of the most similar to my own fantasy teams. So I don't think that there's too much to criticize, because I'm quite happy with my team. The biggest change I would say is maybe downgrading Kane for Son. Like I've kind of mentioned, I haven't been too happy with Harry Kane. But otherwise, I think that it looks pretty good. Maybe Edouard is the only one that I'm a little bit shaky on, but I think even with Palace's double game week, he's bound to play at least one game. And like I've kind of mentioned, there's no attacking options that I'm really over the moon, that I feel like you absolutely must have this attacking option in your team. For me, at one point of the season, it was Antonio, but now with Bowen playing so well, he's my West Ham asset. So really, I don't think that there's too much to do, but that's my biggest advice. All right, guys, this is my team, Netflix and Chilwell. I love it. I also am a big Ben Chilwell fan, so I thought that the name was very clever. I doubled up on Liverpool defense. I hardly ever double up on defense because I feel like it could be really, really risky, and I tend to just like to diversify that risk a little bit. But Andy Robertson is only 5% owned, a little over 5% owned, which I think is absolutely insane. And if you look at his last couple of game weeks against Crystal Palace, he got 11 points. Brentford, he got 12 points. Then he didn't play because of injury. And against Spurs, 9 points, Newcastle 2, Aston Villa 8. So he's getting very high points and some double-digit hauls every week, and Trent is as well. So I said, you know what? They have a double game week coming up, and I really like the look of their fixtures as well. I'm just going to pull up the fixture difficulty rating here. So they play Burnley in game week 25, and then they play Norwich and Leeds in game week 26. They do blank in game week 27. So it's kind of something to keep in mind, but I thought for the next couple of game weeks, it's worth it. So I went for them. And then to pimp my team, I'm looking to transfer out Harry Kane and bring in Heung-min Son. And I think in order to bring in Son, I'm going to transfer out Maddison. Let's see how he performs today. But I'm pretty set on that one. I think I will maybe I haven't decided who I'm going to transfer in that attacking spot just yet. I'm thinking maybe Edouard for Crystal Palace's double game week, especially because Conor Gallagher can't play against Chelsea since it's his parent club, so he's not going to get the double game week. And then I think eventually, maybe for game week 26, for Liverpool's double game week, I'm going to transfer out De Bruyne for Salah. But I feel kind of bad because De Bruyne has been very good to me, and he's been getting a lot of double-digit hauls as well. 2 11-point hauls in his last 3 games. But that's basically what's on the horizon for my team. Well, guys, I had a lot of fun. I hope that you enjoyed it as well. That was Pimp My Team. Let me know in the comments what changes you're making, who's on your buy list, who are you selling. Hope the odds are in your favor for this game week, and make sure to subscribe to Chasing Green Arrows YouTube channel.